breakfast.
So now you'll get your warning. So, hey kids, what's shaking? It's been a while since the Kong family's gotten back together, and really excited to have Sam Tran, my brother from another mother. Truly one of my favorite people in this whole wide world is this man right here. And the reason why is just because his story is so amazing, and he's just so helpful and giving, and I'm not going to say much. I want to let Sam talk. Most of you probably know this, but the people that you're going to share this video with in the future, maybe they are not familiar with who Sam is. So Sam's was a cancer researcher, and he had a little interesting journey, and now he's back here with us. So Sam, welcome, buddy. Good to see you.
Hey, thank you, JJ. Thank you for having me on. Yeah, it's life is a fantastic journey. Life is an amazing time, and I feel like this is my second life. My first life, I was an immigrant kid from Vietnam, came over after the Vietnam War, settled in Spokane, Washington. So that first winter was quite a shock, coming from southern Vietnam to the tropics to like Spokane. so lots of snow that first winter. But yeah, I went to school at the University of Washington, studied laboratory medicine. My specialty is medical technology. And so I ended up working in pharmaceutical, big pharma. I worked at Amgen. We made cancer therapies that help people rebuild their immune system and their blood cells after they get chemotherapy and radiation. And I thought I was on the path to discovering some kind of cure for cancer or some kind of treatment. But I was filled with, I didn't have this fulfillment, like I hated every Monday and I loved every Friday like everyone else. I thought I had made it, I have a beautiful wife, wonderful kids, house in the suburbs, working in a big corporate job, big corporate firm. And so everything was great, but there was this emptiness, I think that grabs most people in their life. They don't have this passion for what they do. And I started skateboarding with my kids again, kind of like a midlife crisis thing. I didn't go buy a little red convertible like everyone else does when they hit 40. So I hit my head and went to a coma, and then that kind of shifted my reality, shifted my understanding, and that's when Enagic came into my life, and truly, it has really changed my life. It has really changed how I look at things and how I just go about my things every day, go about what my doings every day, so. But it's been a great journey, and JJ, you're one of those key guys in my life that you find family, you find soul tribe, you find people that you vibrate with, that are on the same mission, and we share this mission. And whether we've gone through some trials and tribulations of people believing us, not believing us, and I think the past 3 years, a lot of people have gone through a lot of trials and tribulation because of the crisis that was in the world, But
I just call it the stupid. I do. I can't help it. I just call it the stupid. It entered in the new age of stupid, and I'm, we've got to counteract that with a little bit of smart, I suppose.
Common sense. Well, when we're all born and we're all on this planet, right? So every child is born to a mother and father. Every animal is born to a mother and father animal. You know what I mean? So, but there's a wisdom. There's a wisdom that's supposed to be passed on. And that's inherent, like how to survive. That's a wisdom, right? It's instinctual, how to survive, right? But what's happening in our society is we've gotten to the point where we replace that instant with something called education. So education is a lot of facts and data and analytics and calculations and predictions and stuff like that, but it's not reality. Reality is like what's behind in the window behind me, like outside. That's reality. Nature is reality. But we've kind of been educated and to be a part of a civil society, we have to follow all these rules and things like that. But you still have to have common sense. And in the past 3 years or so, like a lot of common sense had just gone out the window. Any kind of common sense is going to be like, we're just going to be challenged. And I know that I have a limited time on this planet. I know that I'm just a regular person, but I have a lot of common sense, and people have a lot of common sense. They're just not in touch with it because maybe they're not getting the results. They're not in the happy place. And so they listen to all these experts. But the problem is all these experts don't know what they're doing. Right? If you look at all the health experts in this country, right? Well, if you look at all the lawyers in this country, if you look at all the financial experts, all the financial advisors, all the retirement people, everyone should be super wealthy in this country with all these all this expertise around us. But unfortunately, it's not the case. So we have to revert to a time where people return to common sense, because if we don't, it's going to be easy to fool people because people don't have common sense today, right? And you've observed that, right, JJ, in the past few years?
Oh, yeah. And I've certainly had my times throughout my life where my common sense hasn't been the best.
Yeah, and we have to evolve. We have to evolve every time we meet something that challenges us. Either we win or we learn. There's usually people look at events and life challenges, things that challenge us as a win or lose, right? And so if you take the winning doesn't really teach you that much. It teaches you, okay, maybe I should do that again. I should do that technique. But losing, usually people take the anger, the fear, the frustration, they take those things. But if you define the L, the lose, right, into learn, if you just look at life as a series of wins and learns, then every loss, supposedly every quote loss that you have is an opportunity to learn, And now for me personally, now I look for those lessons at the most economical price, right? I don't have to lose my life. I don't have to lose, $1 million or $10,000 or whatever to get the lesson. I can just observe someone else, right? And if they don't choose to take the lesson from their mistake, I'll take the lesson. Life is teaching, right?
Yeah.
All the time. So
I love that concept.
Yeah. What do you think of that? What do you think about redefining wins and losses to wins and learns?
I love that. That's number one, that replaces something that's negative with something that's positive. Yeah. Same letter, same, it comes off the tongue nice.
Yeah. It's simple, right? I mean, like I remember my son Spencer, he's in college now. He used to play soccer, and his team would oftentimes the team would just get whooped by some other team, right? And I told him, it's just, Spencer, soccer is just organized keep away. That's basically what it is, right? It's organized keep away, and you're shooting in the goal at the other end. And so it's just a game. And so one time they lost a close game, and he got very frustrated. I said, Spencer, so why are you getting frustrated? It's just a game. It's just exercise. It's not like the world championship. It's not the state championship or any kind of champion. There's no medals and ribbons. It's just a game, right? It's a test. And I told him that if you take the frustration from the loss and not the lesson, then you don't really come ahead. You don't really evolve. You don't really get better. You just get frustrated and you're angry, and then you go, I think he went and played a video game to escape, but life is going to challenge us, life is going to challenge us. Am I still coming through? Because it said internet was unstable there.
Yeah, you broke up just a smidge there for a second.
Okay.
But you're
No, yeah. So life
okay.
is going to challenge us, but we get to interpret what we get to interpret the situation. Someone cuts us off on the freeway, right? It happens all the time. Well, you can interpret that person tried to kill me, or that person didn't see me and made an obvious mistake. Right. So you get to interpret what happens, right? And I always try to look for the lesson. And that's and people, people say, well, Sam, you're pretty smart for your age. And I'm like, well, if we tap into that consciousness, if we tap into just being a lifelong student, then yeah, there's no other destination except for learning. There's nothing else. If you just know that you're a lifelong student, then no matter what, you're going to learn. But if we tap into this, oh, I'm educated, I got 4 degrees on the wall, then your learning kind of stops. And then all of a sudden, life is a big puzzle again. Life is like, I don't understand. And then everyone has a theory, but for me, I know that I don't know very much. So it allows me to learn very quickly. And so that's why, like, when I snowboard, JJ, a lot of my friends know me as a snowboarder, and they see me ski and they're like, oh my God, you're a really good skier too. And I said, and I tell them, well, I've been skiing 40 years, and it's like, do you think I've learned some things over those 40 years? I hope so. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, but that's like every age. Like, JJ, how old are you now?
I am 57 years young.
57, fantastic. I'll be 52 this year in October, right? So we should have the wisdom of that age, right?
You have years to catch up with me.
Well,
I am going to be 69 this year.
there you go. See, so imagine, Nazima, imagine if we could all just share wisdom of our age with each other. Imagine if we were just open to it. What would that be? Because I know a lot of like 50-year-olds that are like still like kids. They don't have their life together. I know a lot of 80-year-olds that still don't have their life together. But I also know a lot of 80-year-olds that are like wise, like 100-year-old people, right? Because of the life experience, And so we have to be able to receive that wisdom from people.
Yeah.
Because if we don't, then we have to experience it ourselves. And experience is a great teacher. It's a great teacher, but it can be kind of costly,
I'd like to encourage people to, like you were just saying, learn from other people's mistakes. Yeah. Or their breakthroughs, their accomplishments. Learn from those as well. Learn from everything.
Exactly.
And so that's one thing I just love about meeting with you, Sam, is I always end up with a big old pile of notes and
well, that's the way it should be. That's we're all going through, we're also lucky to have met during this period of time. We're all born in the 1900 something, and then we're all gonna die in the 2000 something. So we all, there's a span of time. If I was born in the 1600s, I certainly wouldn't be here in 2000 something. So we all have this time of this span of time to interact and to share wisdom, right? And I think if we did, and I think if we were receptive, we would be much more advanced than we, we'd save ourselves a lot of trouble. That's for sure.
Right. So you mentioned at the beginning that you worked in the cancer field.
Mhm.
Um, what kind of changes have you seen? I'm going to kind of shift gears into
Okay.
a little bit of Kangen water,
Yep.
um, because it seems like before you had your accident,
Mm.
you were one of those people that wasn't interested in Kangen water, and then afterwards is when you came into um, a different thing. You know, the motto of Kangen water is change your water, change your life.
True.
Um, give us a little bit of a rundown or whatever, a thought process on how that's applied to you.
Yeah. So, I used to be very academic. I used to just be very structured and driven by an Outlook calendar and appointments and just very analytical, scientific. Always had to have things like look a certain way, feel a certain way, be a certain way. Very structured. Um, Now I don't really plan much. I kind of live in the moment instead of in the past or in the future. Um, but that was because I had that near-death experience. But that really shifted my awareness of how much I did not know. I think anyone who goes and gets some kind of certification, graduates high school, graduates college, goes to get Microsoft accredited or Google accredited or something like people pick up certifications and they feel like they're smarter, right? And yes, people are smarter, but I felt like there's after my near-death experience, I felt like there's a lot more to learn, and I didn't know anything about health, right? Because I was in the world of treatment. And when Enagic, when Kangen was introduced to me, I tried to actually shoot it down. I tried to actually shoot holes in it because it cannot be so simple, right? It can't be so simple, especially for someone that's in medical technology, that's in biotech. Because if it was simple, then what the heck am I doing with my career? Because my career was extremely complicated, right? So I was literally challenged by the simplicity of what we're doing. And then I realized that, you know what? Genius runs to simplicity. You have someone that's a genius, they come in and they fix your problem that you've been spending 3 years trying to solve. And they just do one little movement and you're like, oh my God, I've been trying to figure this out for 3 years, and here you are, like you show up and 2 seconds later it's like solved. That's genius. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so what we have in our society is the opposite of genius. We have a 20-step process for everything. We do all these things to escape our stressful lives. We watch a lot of football, watch a lot of basketball. We eat a lot of junk food, a lot of chocolate. Nothing against chocolate is good for you in moderation. So is wine. Wine is good for you in moderation, right? But what we end up doing is we end up being lost in this society, and we don't know how to get healthy or get free. And so when this Kangen water was introduced to me, it was like I started to look at it as a new tool to build this life around. Instead of building this life around chasing a paycheck, why not build a life around making a difference, like really impacting the largest amount of population or the largest group of people in the world. And this tool allows me to touch every person that's and every plant and animal and whatever, everything that's living on this planet needs water. And I've never come across something that has that big of an impact, that can touch that many lives and demographics and spans time. And my friends ask me, hey, you're still doing that water thing. And I'm like, dude, this like, are you still breathing air? It's that important, but it really has changed the way I look at things, because it's so profound. It's so simple, but so complex, and so just, so profound, So I've completely shifted, as you have observed.
I, as I sit and listen to the things you're talking about, as people listen to this, these kinds of things always come to play in our lives.
Yeah.
Like you were talking about the people that they think they know what the deal is. They're compartmentalized. They've got their big education. Maybe even sometimes, like with my brother, it's a lifetime education where he wasn't really the college guy, but he certainly had a lot of life experiences, which, in my opinion, makes his statement to me that he said, I know everything there is to know about everything. He said it a lot louder and meaner than that when he said it, but I was like, wow, you have vast knowledge. And when I hear you talking about how much I know that I don't know, it just kind of makes me feel sad for him and for people like him that really truly think they know everything and they have nothing left to learn in this life. And of course, never going to be interested in something like Kangen water.
Well, never's a long time. And, you just have to keep that relationship open, because everyone's going to have their come to Jesus moment, or come to Buddha moment, or some kind of moment where.
Wait, so even the freezer part got turned off, Mom?
Yeah.
What was that?
Oh, boy.
No, but it's not being open.
Okay. All
Can
right,
you
good.
meet that? Did you? There you go.
Go ahead with that, Sam.
So, so everyone's going to come to that moment where they realize they don't know everything, and it's hopefully it's and it usually happens in the hospital bed, and it's called regret. It usually happens in old age. It usually happens because an opportunity was missed, or a chance was not taken, or something like that. So I was in that hospital bed, and I had that regret, because here I was with in a coma, and I was in a place where I was a spirit, and I didn't have my body anymore. But it was a beautiful place. I wasn't afraid, and so when I came out of that, I had this epiphany, this idea that, man, if I had another chance to be healthy and to live a life, like, what kind of life would I live? And then I said, wait a minute, I came out of a coma. That's my second chance right there. And then I have this awareness. That's my second chance right there. Like, what sign am I waiting for? I'm waiting for, like a postcard to show up in the mail that, here you are, Sam, here's life. No, that was like laying in that hospital bed and having these thoughts, by myself, having these thoughts about life. And that's what really, that's what got me to this state of consciousness, and we just have to be patient and have compassion for each other until we all get to that point, and it sometimes, I wasn't the smartest of guys, JJ, so I had to go, I had to crack my head open to realize how much I didn't know, right? Some people got to have a heart attack to realize that they don't know very much. Some people that, they got to lose their parents before they realize they don't know very much, and so there's a price. There's a price to life, and there's a price to wisdom, but don't always pay full price. Now, I almost paid the ultimate price for my wisdom, for my awareness, but and that's why we have this great opportunity to share this wisdom. And it's not even, Kangen. We didn't invent Kangen, did we, JJ? We're just grateful distributors, authorized distributors to get to share this information. And so whether people believe it or not, that's on their consciousness. But as long as we do what we're doing, then our consciousness is clean, is great. Because that question is going to be asked. The very important question is like, did you spend your time well? That's the question everyone is going to be asked. At the end of their life, when they run out of time, or they're up in their years, or they land in the hospital bed and they're still conscious, that question is going to cross their head. Did you spend your time well? And if you did, you're going to be a happy person. You're gonna sail into the night a happy person. But if you didn't, you can be a very grumpy old man or a very grumpy old woman. Yeah. Because you have no chance. There's no redos now. You didn't spend your time well, right? You chased the wrong things, and you crossed the wrong people, and all sorts of stuff, right? And so that's, I have this second chance, and I'm making the most of it, and I'm helping people make the most of it, But that's.
Being able to have these meetings with you, Sam, is wonderful, because it puts thoughts into people's heads that they really should be trying to contemplate. And the book Think and Grow Rich has a couple of success principles, and one of them is that you want to use other people's ideas, other people's efforts, and other people's money. And in order to use other people's ideas, you have to be willing to look at them and listen to them and learn about them, and to find out whether you even want to do them or not. And then with the other people's efforts, you need to find the right people that you are going to hang around and that you're going to work with, and so forth. And then, the idea of using other people's money is a kind of another subject that goes along with all of that. And then the other success principle that is outlined in that book is that you need to find a product that everybody needs, that nobody has, that everybody needs, nobody has, that has no competition. And I can't think of a better thing than Kangen water when it comes to those three principles of a product that everybody needs and nobody has, that doesn't have any competition. And so for some reason, the things you've been saying brought that part of Think and Grow Rich to my brain cell. And so I thought I'd run it past you and see what you think about how that, because those seem to be really sensible things for somebody that wants to go forward and make a difference. Why spend our lives chasing a paycheck when we could spend it trying to make a difference?
And obviously you have to chase a paycheck, because you can't just smile and someone's going to give you teriyaki. It just doesn't work that way. You order teriyaki and then you pay the bill, right? And but they're not gonna take smiles or hugs. Maybe not yet. But at some point, maybe in the future, right? But I'm gonna share something with you, JJ. Some equations that we use during our life. Okay, so I'm gonna open this thing here. Can you see the white screen there?
Yep.
Okay, So I'm going to draw this. Okay. So when we're young, we use this equation: time equals money. True?
Yeah.
It's true, right? And so this is why we're willing to trade 1 hour of our life for $20 or $30. And the more educated you get, lawyers make what $300-400 an hour. They have more education, right? In law, right? True?
Yeah.
Okay. So as we get older, we come into this. Time is more valuable than money. True?
Yeah.
And so usually wise people, older people have had health scares, people have lost family members, they value time more. True?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then, so that's the second phase of our life. Okay. The third phase of our life is you realize that information or wisdom equals money. True?
Yeah.
Right. And this is where you go and get educated, you go and you talk to older people, you figure stuff out in life. Right? And the last one is info is greater than money. Okay. And this is where you're into the phase of leaving a legacy. You change the way that people look at life. So who's let's say like Gandhi, Martin Luther King, John F. Kennedy, they had a certain information, they had a certain perspective, they had a certain philosophy, right, JJ?
Yeah.
Right? And that philosophy, you can't, that wisdom that they shared during their life, you can't put a dollar amount on it.
Right.
You can't, I mean, yes, you could buy their speeches, you could buy their books and watch their videos, right? But it has a profound value to it that's greater than money. True?
Yeah.
Jesus, right? Jesus was sharing information, right? But you can't quantify that. Oh, that lesson's worth $100, right? Or 2 gold coins. You can't quantify it because it's information that's already beyond money. And so we have to recognize that we have to use different equations in life when we make our choices. When I was younger, I was using the top equation. After I had my near-death experience, I realized I should live with the second equation. With the not equation, but the second line there. Time is greater than money. And now that I realize that information, I see all these billionaires and whatever trillionaires in the world, all they do is they peddle information. We just went through a phase where everyone in the world now is recognizing was propaganda. Right? We went through 3 years of propaganda. But a lot of people made money. A lot of drug companies made money. A lot of governments they printed money, so they did make money, right?
Yeah.
And so information is
right? They literally made money.
literally, yeah, they literally made money. They printed, right? And so then I realized that, like, to live forever, to have that legacy, is to get this information out there, because that's information is what lives forever. Wisdom lives forever. Money changes. Money is a fiat currency. Money is just a tool for exchange. But we've been so programmed in this world that everyone is money hungry, right? You cannot buy a pizza by just giving someone a hug. Maybe if you changed their life and they love you, yeah, they'll bake a pizza for you. But most people in this world, no, you got to pay 20 bucks, 30 bucks, 40 bucks for a pizza. You know, that's just how it is, right?
Right.
And so these are just the four equations. And so more and more, I live in the fourth equation. I live in the fourth equation because I that's just how I've evolved. That's how I've learned. That's what I've learned, and I'll keep learning that, and I'll keep focusing on expanding that consciousness.
Yeah, I almost feel sorry for people. Well, like my brother, I feel sorry for him that he's not willing to learn, that he thinks he knows everything. That's a crazy concept to me, for somebody to have the thought process that they think they know everything. Because what I've learned is the most brilliant people out there have always, in my life that I've known, they've all been hungry to learn more about
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And so it's just kind of a mind-numbing concept of like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
But,
okay.
there's this flexibility, right, JJ? So when we get older, we can't. I remember being in junior high and being tested on flexibility, right? So you would stand at the top of a staircase, and they'd make you go and touch your toes, and if you can go below your toes like a couple inches, you were like, you got an A or something, you got some kind of score. Flexibility, right? Well, I could still do that, but someone's got to press me now. I'm less flexible physically than I was in my teenage years, right? But our mind is the same way. As it gets filled with information, as it gets filled with degrees and college education and all this life experience, it becomes less flexible. And that's really challenging for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right.
I suppose that's why one of my simple mottos in my life is to I try not to make decisions about things without understanding what they are. And because I've made some big mistakes by just thinking that something was something that I wasn't interested in, and turned out my lack of desire to actually look at it really dearly cost me, because I wasn't willing to look. I went, no, that can't possibly work. It's not going to work. And perfect example, Bitcoin, when it was 50 cents. I had friends, a couple of buddies that were telling me, look, Jay, this is going to be huge. You should put a little bit of money into this right now and see what happens. No. It can't be. No, what makes this any different than the government creating money on a printing press, blah, blah, blah. But I wasn't willing to look and learn.
Yeah.
If I'd have learned back then, that would have been a life-changing thing.
Yeah, imagine if you put 20 bucks on it.
Yeah. And
like what like today, what is 20 bucks today? 20 bucks is like nothing today, because everything is, like a regular car is like $40,000 now.
right.
I mean, I remember when I first came to America, you could get like a Chevy Camaro for like $3,000, like a brand new Chevy Camaro with air conditioning and everything, like a like a 68 Camaro. You know what I mean?
Now,
65 Mustang.
now it's
$3,000.
35 grand.
Yeah, it's crazy. So
So yeah, that's I guess in talking about this stuff, I guess I want to encourage people to look, to grasp that concept of the fourth principle there, the fourth equation of info is bigger and greater than money. So you should always be striving to get as much info as you can.
Yeah.
About potentially good things. I mean, you could have too much info in bad areas too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, when I was talking to another scientist, a friend of mine, and you know, during the beginning of the pandemic and stuff like that, and she said, I told her that, you know, I'm a very open-minded person. I look at different scenarios and different possibilities, and I kind of play these things out, you know, like I'm a human computer in that sense. I analyze things, right? And she said, well, Sam, don't be so open-minded that your brain like spills out. And I'm like that's like, you really worry about my brain being so open-minded that my brain would leak out? Like, I mean, I know it was just a joke, and I know it was just a phrase, you know what I mean? But I think people are really afraid of being open-minded. Like it's a dangerous thing. You know what I mean? And I don't think being flexible or being unbiased is a bad thing. I think being closed-minded is a bad thing, obviously, right? Being rigid in your thought process and your belief system is can be dangerous. You could be inflexible, you could be rigid in your beliefs if you're doing well. If you're dictators around the world, they're very rigid in what they do, but they don't sleep so well at night, or they have to have a big security team, right? Because everyone hates the dictator, right? And so if you don't sleep well at night, that's a good sign that you're not doing it right. You know, if you're stressed up and something keeps you up at night, that's a good sign that you don't have things figured out. You know, when I go to sleep, I have great dreams. Like I fall asleep pretty quickly. You know, but look at today. A lot of people they can't sleep. They're on their cell phone like until crazy hours, right? And they wake up and they go back to the same thing that they've been doing. And so we have to have this flexibility more than ever. That it's a survival thing. We have to be able to think for ourselves. It's a survival thing now. Because if you don't think for yourself, you're gonna get shots, pills, you're gonna become diabetic like everyone else. You're just gonna, you're gonna open a GoFundMe page when you get diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the thing. It's like, no, I'm actually gonna avoid all that. How are you gonna avoid all that, Sam? Let's try simple. Let's just try there. I don't know, but I don't want it to be complex, because that's a lot more work. You know,
This thing right here is already complex enough. I don't need.
yeah, life. I mean, life. You know, life is complex enough. I mean, even before that, there was only 2 genders, and that was already complex. Now we got like 110 genders or something. I'm like, oh my god, this is. We're not dealing with human society anymore. We're dealing with zombie apocalypse now. You know. But it doesn't always have to be more complexity. You know, this, like right here, where is it? H2O, right? H2O, right? That's as simple as it gets.
Well, you know, that's one of the cool things that I love about Kangen water. When we take the trailer out and we give away water at softball tournaments and things like that, we have a sign out there that says try the world's best water. And people ask me, well, why do you call it the world's best water? And I say to them, because it's not H2O. And they go, what? I go, yeah, it's H2 negative OH for about 8 to 24, maybe 48 hours after it comes out of this little lightning bolt in a box that's made in Japan, this little medical device. And they go, wow. And so that's one of my things that I've found most fascinating about Kangen water that I've learned, because I always thought water is just water. But the truth is, water is life's great conundrum.
Mhm.
Because on one hand, it's killing you, and on the other hand, you have to have it.
Mhm.
Because you can go 3-4 days without water, and if you're not dead, you're wishing to God you were dead.
Mhm.
And then on the other hand, it's literally the thing. I love explaining it to them like this. I go, it's the thing that makes you go from this when you're young to this when you're old,
Yeah.
because it's acid. And you know, it's probably way too deep to get into for people, but then usually they want to give it a try, just maybe drink a little of it. But anyway, I just
Yeah.
feel like that's another one of those great conundrums that we have in our society, whether it's water or anything else. But
Yeah.
it sure is
Um,
cool.
Yeah, JJ, so it's been a life changer for me because getting back to those equations, right? Like I realized that time is the ultimate wealth, right? I mean, back in the Neanderthal days, like if you knew how to hunt and fish and whatever, get food, get water, get shelter, you survived, right? You made it, right? You could procreate and pass on your genes. If you could not adapt to the nature and survive, your bloodline died out, right?
Yeah.
True, right? So we have access to this. We have access to basically time itself, because when you put this in your body, literally all the junk that's causing you symptoms and illness and premature aging and all this stuff, it gets flushed out. And today I think everyone is aware that pollution is the problem, whether it be physical, chemical, financial, education, spiritual pollution. There's pollution of every type nowadays, right? There's corruption, there's ethical corruption, there's moral corruption, there's every type of corruption out there. Financial corruption, educational corruption, philosophical corruption, all sorts of things, right? There's all sorts of different types, but we have the ability to flush all that junk out and truly return to original. Kangen, as it's pronounced in Japan, means return to origin. We're all going to go back to where we came from. This just helps us in the ride in this physical shell that keeps our soul for hopefully 100 years, keeps our soul happy. Because I know my soul would not be happy if my leg hurt all the time. If I had migraines, I used to have migraines all the time, but I haven't had a migraine since I started drinking the water. That's just I don't know. I can't explain it, but I don't know how the rockets take off and land by themselves, but I think it's pretty cool. I'll use it. Maybe I'll go for a rocket ride someday, right? But you don't have to understand everything. You just need to be useful. Like I don't know exactly how this phone works. I have a theory, but I'm not an engineer. But I just use it. This Zoom, this Zoom that we're on. Do you know exactly how this works, JJ? All I know is I click this thing, I log in, and there's your face, and here's my face, and we're having a conversation in different cities.
Exactly. That's how it works. I just punched in my Zoom link. Here we are.
And so this is,
Sam, here's something I'd love to see if maybe we can work out, because I've had to talk a few very close friends off cliffs recently. By the grace of God, they sent me they sent me messages. Like one of my best friends sent me a message saying, all of my life belongings go to my 2 sons.
Hmm.
And I went,
What?
what you talking about, Willis? And I like immediately gave him a phone call and ended up spending a couple of hours on the phone with him. And, he was getting ready to jump off the cliff,
Mhm.
for demonstrative purposes, what he was thinking about doing. And
Mm.
and I've been able to talk him off of there, and he's doing way better. And
Mm.
he isn't thinking about jumping off the cliff anymore. But I think a huge part of helping people to not want to be in those positions, or help them get out of those positions, is I've been telling him, look, there's some really positive things that you could be doing so that you're not bored, so that you're not lonely. So, if you make yourself too busy to be lonely and to be bored, then you're going to end up surrounding yourself with some people that'll be giving you a constant dose of positive,
Mhm.
of good things that you can, things to make you think. And I remember part of the reason that we know each other was because of an entity that introduced me to this morning motivation thing, where we went in and basically had every morning for a half an hour or so. We had a big group of people that we were getting motivated every morning to go out and rock the world, that kind of thing.
Mm.
And that thing ended up falling apart, but I still look back at that and think it's really important to be able to like plug yourself into something where you can get some consistent positive and some consistent
Mm.
like-minded support from people that are trying to do the kind of things that you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be cool to be able to I always like Mondays because you've probably seen me post. I think that Monday is the best day of the week in the life of the serial entrepreneur.
Mm.
They're always excited for Monday because that's a whole new week starting up. It's a whole new week to get busy and most people were like you were when you were in the grind, where you hated Mondays and you look forward to Fridays. And in the life of the serial entrepreneur, you don't care about what day of the week it is, and Monday
Yeah.
is like the best of them all.
Yeah, every day is a Friday.
Yeah. And
Literally.
I'd love to be able to start kicking people's weeks off with a bang,
Mm.
at least once a month, if not maybe twice a month,
Mm.
and start picking it up as a like, you can look forward to the first Monday of the month and the second Monday of the month. We're gonna have a morning motivation question and answers
Yeah. Yeah.
Tong family get together with Sam and the rest of the crew, and
Let's do it.
let's
do it.
get people's weeks and their month, and like it's the first of the month and then the second week of the month, where we can do maybe even help people set some goals for that first 2 weeks of the month, and then check in the second week and see how things have gone, and just,
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think about doing something like
No,
that?
that's great. That's great. Well, I think we got like 5 minutes left, but I'm gonna give you a tidbit of what I figured out. Okay. There's been a few moments in my life where I've almost lost my life. And it really made me reflect on my future, right? So at 18, At 18, I almost committed suicide. I ran away from home. I climbed up to this 10-story parking garage, and I was standing on the ledge, and all I had to do was take a step. And what pulled me back from taking that step and falling and, you know, getting smashed against the sidewalk 10 stories down was this question of what if, you know, what if life turns out to be fantastic? What if you meet the woman of your dreams, you have this wonderful family, and you're traveling the world and doing all this stuff? What if? Because obviously at 18, I was worried about something, you know, I to the point where I ran away from home, right? And then almost committed suicide. And then I was worried about, you know, like this next phase of my life, because this high school was ending, and, you know, coming over to America, that's all I knew was I came over here at 6, and here's 18, 12 years later, and that phase of my life was ending, and another phase of college was beginning. And college was the unknown. And I was afraid to go into the unknown, right? And I lost my identity in a sense. And so when people lose their lives, and they lose, and not lives, when they lose their jobs, when they lose their spouses, when they lose, I don't know, their car, you know, they lose their shoes, they lose their phone, they kind of go crazy because they identify so much of that thing that is lost, right? But when you get to this point in your life where you don't identify to things, you don't identify to titles, you don't identify to jobs, you identify to your true self, not your ego self, right? So when you lose yourself, you lose your ego self. Because a lot of people, you know, a lot of tech people, a lot of technologists, you know, a lot of people in the tech world right now are losing their jobs, right? Right? With layoffs, they're completely shell-shocked, because never in their life they would imagine that me working at Google, I would be laid off, or Microsoft or Amazon or some drug company. You know, as a nurse, it's quite shocking to be laid off. As a doctor, it's quite shocking to be fired. Well, it's shocking because we identified with that construct, the idea of ourselves. You know, as a married person, it would be very very shocking to be divorced. You know, as a parent, it'd be very shocking to have to go to your child's funeral, obviously, right? You know, as a child, it's very shocking to lose your parent, to lose your mom and dad, because you identify with that role. And true freedom is achieved when you don't identify with roles anymore. You identify with purpose, right? We're not a character being played in this life. We're a human being. We're not a human doing. And so people identify with the things they do. That's why in America you go, hey, what do you do for a living? Like, that's the most important question there is. No, it's like, I'm a plumber, right? But I actually change lives. But we identify with the job. We identify with the role. We identify with the degrees on the wall. You know, we identify with all these things that are not us. You know, the material things. You know, people feel great when they drive a luxury car. You know, I drive a Prius, right? And I have an Acura that's like 21 years old. I drive a minivan too. And so, but it's not the clothing that makes the man, right? It's the mentality.
Yeah.
And so we always have to rise above this. We have to rise above like our ego. You know, we have to rise above the titles and the labels that get put on us. We have to rise above, right? And that's where freedom is. When you rise above, when you can separate the things and the titles from you as a person, because we're all really, you know, like we're spiritual beings having a human existence, trying to find out if we're spiritual beings, right? It's a round trip. You're just trying to realize who you are, you know. And when I hit my head and went to a coma, I realized who I was. You know, Sam is just a name that I chose. Or Sam is just a name that people call me by, but that's not who I am. You know, Sam sounds a lot better than hey you.
Hey, you.
You know, right? But it's just a name, right? Imagine if you forgot your name, you'd be kind of shocked, right? Imagine if you lost your house, you'd be kind of shocked.
Yeah.
So when people lose their identity, and right now because of, you know, all these layoffs and this whole pandemic thing, you know, people have lost awareness, self-awareness. You know, they've lost, you know, maybe not even through this pandemic, but even before, people have lost themselves. People identify with their job, they identify with their citizenship. You know, what country are you from? You know, they identify with their skin color. You know, so you have to rise above all of that.
Yeah.
You know, and because those things now are being used to divide people. You know, and so that was a big aha moment for me when I realized that I cannot identify with things that people identify with, because those things make us suffer too. You know, if you're a college athlete and you're the college quarterback, you know, and your girlfriend is the homecoming queen and the lead cheerleader, life is great, right? Right?
Yeah.
You're top of the game.
Yeah.
Right? What happens when you're 60 and you've got a big beer belly and you know, and that old life, what you identify with could be a point of pain because you know it's not your reality anymore.
Right.
Right? It's like you're 60 now. You're not 18 anymore. You're not 25 anymore. And so you have to be comfortable in your skin and identify of who you are. And that's why the phrase I am is so important. You know, I am free. I am happy. Right. But if people in their mind, they just have this like, oh, you know, they ask themselves, why does my life suck? And man, if they ask those type of questions, it's going to be a tough life. You know, so that's a golden nugget right there. I had to learn that the hard way. I had to let go of my identity. You know, and that's why you hear me say, JJ, it's like, you know, I'm a recovering scientist, 12-step process.
Yeah, brother, I love you so much. I hope we can work something out at least maybe once a month, but I think it'd be really productive if we were to be able to do twice a month and give
No,
people a little jolt of good stuff.
Let's do it twice a month. This will at least get me up early in the morning, earlier than I'm up in the morning.
I think that'll be a lot of fun. So do you want to start next month? Or do you want to do?
Let's go. Let's see here. So what's today? Today is
this is actually the first Monday of the month.
Okay.
Do we want to do the second Monday of the month and do it again? And
let's do March 20th too. Let's do 2 Mondays a month.
So the 6th and the 20th. Yeah, that'll be that's the first and the second Monday of the month.
No, the first and third. Yeah, first and third Monday of the month. Okay, sounds good.
I'll get this out to everybody that I can get it out to, and encourage everybody to listen in. And you know, because this is I think this is a really good thing for people to grasp all the things that you bring forth. You know, you give people such great stuff to think about. Just love it every time I get a chance to meet. And
it's like deep thoughts with Sam.
And ask you questions. You always give me great things to contemplate. which helps my mind grow, helps me grow in my life. And I just can't tell you how much I appreciate it. I love you, brother.
Yeah.
And I look forward to being able to do this again on the 20th. And I'm going to start trying to promote this so that the first Monday and the second Monday of every month, we have a whole bunch of people in here wanting to
Yeah.
get a little bit of wisdom from our brother Sam, and
Yeah.
and also from all of our. We got a lot of really great people in this family of. So
And it's
we
just,
can learn a lot.
yeah. So every 2 weeks, right? So I just put it on my calendar as a repeating thing every 2 weeks
Perfect.
until the end of time, I guess, until we find another form of entertainment.
That sounds great.
All
So
right.
yeah, we'll see you again on the 20th, and I'm sure we'll be having some conversation, likes, comments, whatever, on
Okay.
other stuff in between, bro. And I'll
Yeah.
get this thing out today
Yeah.
and get it.
And JJ, I want you to pick my brain on a variety of topics, okay? And I have this ability to explain difficult concepts in layman's terms. Okay, so I want you to leverage what I have access to, and it's not me, right? I just after I hit my head, I'm tapped into this consciousness. I don't know what it is, but I can just explain things in a simple way. Right? I have the 30,000-foot view of society, and I watch myself, I watch society, and I observe things, and I just throw this theory out, and then the theory is tested by time, just like everything else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I'm just out there testing and having fun, like I went skiing with my wife last night, but I'm just out there testing and trying different things. And then I'll go snowboarding, and then my friend's like, how do you do both? I'm like, mental flexibility. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta be a student.
Yeah.
Yeah, to do anything, you gotta be a student,
Amen.
So,
All right, brother. Well, have yourself an awesome day, and look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks again, and having a few more people on here with us. I'm looking forward to getting this rolling again, and
yeah.
I think it'll be good for me, you, and others to
Yep.
be getting
It'll be-
together a couple times a
it-
month.
We'll get together and have some deep thoughts and some meaningful conversations.
Yes.
All right.
Amen.
All
Deep
right. Love you.
thoughts and
Love you,
meaningful
brother.
conversation, baby. Hooty-hoo.
Deep thoughts.
Dude, you can't help but have deep thoughts when you get on a call with you, man. You are I love it. I just love it so much. So I look forward to helping spread those deep thoughts
That's right.
to our family and friends and people we don't even know yet. So
True.
much
All right.
love, brother. God bless.
All right.
See you,
Have a good day,
Nazima.
guys.
Love you too, honey.
All right.
Woo-hoo.